Good morning. My name is Joel Silverstein, and I'm going to be your biology instructor this semester. I wanted to take a few minutes with you today and give you an overview of the course and some of the things that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you so you can follow along. There's also captions on the bottom. At the end of this, you can also go back and open up both this video, or you can open up the slide set that I've added. So let's share that screen right now, and then let's get started. All right, so I like to talk about my first day in class here with you is what I like to call our time together. We're going to be spending a lot of time together every day, plus throughout the semester. And while I know right now you're watching this from home, eventually you're going to be back in the classroom, and we really want to get a chance to know each other. So welcome to biology. Most of you are probably freshmen. The objective of this particular course is for you to be able to describe the purpose of your biology class, some of the goals and expectations, and learn a little bit about me, your teacher, Mr. Silverstein. At the end of this session today, there's going to be a recap form that I'd like you to open up. That's going to help us confirm your understanding of what we talked about today and prompt you with any questions you may have for me that I can respond back to you by email. What we're going to talk about today is a little bit about me, some expectations and general policies, how we're going to work in distance mode, lessons and assignments, and what's going to be coming up next. You're going to find every day when we have a new lesson, you're going to have a slide set like this. That's going to help keep us on track of where we need to go. So what is this whole Biology 1 course? What's this all about? This is an introductory survey course in biology that satisfies college entrance requirements. The emphasis is on fundamental principles governing living things, their function, and their origin. We'll also look at continuity and diversity of living forms that are also studied. We're going to do some laboratory experiments and investigations and projects, and they're an integral part of this course with emphasis on man and the biotic environment. In this particular semester, it's broken up into 4 units with 3 to 4 sub-concepts in each. You're going to learn about the nature of science and scientific methods, macromolecules, cells and their functions, stem cells and cancer cells, enzymes and biochemical reactions, energy flow, respiration and photosynthesis. We'll do an introduction to ecology, and we'll talk about population growth patterns. That's going to encompass everything we're going to do during semester 1. And everything's broken up into really easy to follow modules, and I'll guide you along the way as we get there. So every time you walk into a classroom with a brand new teacher, you kind of wonder, who is this guy? Now, as you've already figured out when I got first on the screen here, I'm not young like some of your parents are, or like some of your friends' parents are. I've been around a little bit a while, but let's give you an idea of where I come from and what my thinking is on some things. I've spent the last 30 years doing undersea exploration. Primarily, I explore shipwrecks, both modern and historic. I run expeditions, and I investigate things on protected wreck sites. I've also been involved in manufacturing and distribution of specialized diving equipment. I run an e-commerce website, plus a retail store here in town, Scuba Training and Technology. Along the way, I've worked on movies and documentaries, and back in 2016, I won an Emmy for underwater cinematography for a news feature that I did with Troy Hayden from Fox News up on a sunken plane that's up in Lake Mead called the B-29 bomber. I also do dive training. I train people to dive for technical, scientific, and recreational kinds of diving. So I spent a lot of time underwater. A couple of years ago, I was off in Palau, that's in the South Pacific working on a special project. And we had worked for about 7 or 8 days and we needed to take a little break. And we went off to an area there known as Jellyfish Lake. And this is a really spectacular lake that's in the middle of the ocean inside of an island. And these jellyfish have adapted to their environment over the millennia to where the stingers on these jellyfish no longer sting anything. So we were able to snorkel and swim throughout these jellyfish the entire time, and it was kind of neat. And throughout the semester, we're going to get a chance to see some of these neat places when we get some downtime. Some other things I like to do is to explore the things that are unique. Here we are in Palau also. The picture on the right here, we're about 200 feet under the water, and we're looking at little clownfish hiding inside the sea anemones. And then, of course, we have this big thing on the lower left called the Thing, which is really a 6-foot-long spiked nudibranch. And so there's all kinds of things at the bottom of the sea that I like to look at. I also look at shipwrecks. I explore shipwrecks. I love shipwrecks. This is in Truk Lagoon in Micronesia. It was where there was a big battle during World War II. And there's tons of sunken ships there. And in fact, I was supposed to be there at the end of the school year, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to get there. But I'll get back there again in a couple of years. Other areas that I've worked in is in communications. One of my degrees is in communications. I was a magazine publisher and editor for many years. I've written a few textbooks on mixed gas diving. I've done things with training and technique procedures. I do industry evaluations. I do a fair amount of public speaking throughout the year. Plus, I write articles on diving medicine and technology and opinion. And along the way, over the last 30 years, I got involved in e-learning systems, designing interactive learning systems and course materials, similar to what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. So that's enough about me for a moment. Let's take a moment and start talking about some expectations and policies. In my classroom, and as it should be in every classroom, we have mutual respect. I respect you, you respect me, we all respect our classmates. When we're in class or when we're in live streaming video, if you have a comment, wait till someone else is done speaking before you raise your hand. As far as attendance goes, when we're in the classroom here, I take attendance each day as you turn in your work. I show up, you show up. Even though we're working from a distance right now, it's really important that you show up for school every day, even if it's just checking in online, doing your assignments, turning them in, and sending me a message or an email asking me a question. When we get back into school, we'll deal with the cell phone policies. But when you're in the classroom, the cell phones are off and they're in the hotel. Right now, if you have your cell phones with you, that's entirely up to you. Another thing that's important about my class is that this class is open to all ideas. No idea is too far-fetched for us to talk about. It's also a place for you to be safe. It's a place for you to seek help. If something's bothering you, if someone's bothering you, if you're having an issue with something, come see me. We'll figure out how to help you get the help that you need. My classroom is always open before and after school. When you get back here to school, you'll find out that the door to my room is always open from the beginning of the day through the end of the day. The other thing that's important about this particular classroom is that it's a safe place and it's free from discrimination of race, color, creed, religion, gender, culture, politics, and sports teams. Well, as long as you like the New York Yankees, that's all that's important. But remember, we're here to help everybody. Everybody's here to be friendly, kind, gentle, generous, and we're here to help you learn. Some other expectations and policies. Google Classroom. I know many of you freshmen that were coming over from the middle school haven't used Google Classroom before, and this is your first foray into it. Google Classroom is used extensively, not only during the time that we're on distance learning, but the entire time that we're in class, we will always be using Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a learning management system and you'll learn more about that tomorrow. But I need you to check your account every day, set up your notifications. I've arranged your equipment so that lessons and work are set up by the week and the day. And remember, if you turn something in and I respond to it and I have any questions for you, respond to me promptly. That'll be helpful. We'll talk about more on Google Classroom tomorrow. Now, every Friday while we're on distance learning, we're going to be doing some synchronous learning video stream sessions. That means I'm going to be on one side of the camera, you're going to be on the other side. Before you set up for it, make sure you're in a good quiet area. Your video should be on. Your microphone should be muted unless you're speaking. Your first and last name should be used on the screen, so you should make sure you get that done. Background should be school appropriate or muted. Using school appropriate digital backgrounds is encouraged, but we don't want to have all kinds of distractions in your background. You should be wearing your school shirts whenever you're on video with school. And if not, make sure you're just wearing a solid shirt, kind of like what I'm wearing today. No hats or sunglasses or inappropriate items should be shown in view. If you don't follow the directions, you'll probably be dismissed from that learning session. I just click and you're out, and then I'll have to pick up the phone and call your parents. We don't want that to happen. So let's make sure we're respectful whenever we're doing these live learning sessions. Next comes to Ninja. Some of you may have heard about Ninja. Ninja is a class pet that I had. This will be my 4th year having Ninja. No, my 3rd year having Ninja. Right now she's at home, but Ninja is a 4-year-old bearded dragon. She's quite beautiful. She originates from Australia. She eats about 80% vegetation and about 20% live bugs and worms every week. She's extremely sensitive to loud sounds and movements, and she'll tend to lay around a lot and not do much. But there are times we'll take her out of her tank and we'll have her do some races on the tables, and she likes to chase big hornworms. You can follow her on Facebook and on Instagram. Yes, she has a Facebook and an Instagram account. Just do a search for Ninja School Dragon and like her page, and you can watch some of her antics. She's kind of cool. Let's talk about some goals. My goal for you is for you to have a meaningful relationship with science. Well, what does that mean? That means that we live in this world where everything has interest. And you're going to look at things and say, why does that happen? Or how come that happens? Or why do we have blue eyes? Or, why when I cut my finger, does that heal up in a couple of days? And those are some of the things we're going to learn about. To get there, there's some stuff you need to do. You're going to have classwork. There's going to be a lesson and some practice every day. You'll have exams and quizzes. You'll have labs and projects. You're going to learn to write. Because of my background in communication, I love seeing what you can write. It really helps me get a better understanding as to what you know. I can better assess your abilities and what you've learned by what you write than looking at a multiple choice question sheet. So we're going to do some of those things. Right now, while you're on distance learning, you should expect to spend about 30 minutes a day on your classwork for this class. Sometimes it might be on a lesson or on a response. You might have to do some research. Some days it might be more, some days it might be less, but that's entirely up to you. On distance learning, there's always going to be some reading, some research, some notes, and watching a video. All work requires a response online, so make sure you stay on top of that. Most assignments have at least 2 days to get turned in, but I really like you to get them in early and on time. I don't accept any late work. Once it's past that deadline for it, you'll eat the 0 on it, and unfortunately, that's going to drive your grade down pretty quick. So let's stay on top of our work. Just like I show up and do my work on time, I need you to do the same. Plan your work week accordingly, and we'll talk more about that on Wednesday, but make sure you plan your day just like you're coming to school. Let's talk about grades for a moment. We'll spend a little bit more on this when we talk about the syllabus on Wednesday. But right now, you all start out with an A in this class. That's right. You start out with an A. Your job is to keep the A. So your grade will drop basically by your choice. If you blow off an assignment, you'll lose those points. If you're having difficulty and don't ask for help and you get a low score on something, you lose points. If you miss an exam or a quiz, you lose some points. If you don't turn in your labs or your projects, you can lose points. When you don't turn in your work, you lose points. So you've all started out today with an A. You're going to have an assignment at the end of this session for you to respond to. If you do it and you score well, you'll keep your A. If you have difficulty with it, it may drop a little bit. But goal is for you to have good scores throughout the semester. You're going to notice that I enter grades very promptly because a lot of the stuff that I do is digitally formatted. I can get those grades done quickly and posted, so they're always going to be accurate. Watch your due dates, don't miss them. All of the work in this class is broken up into 3 categories. Tests and quizzes amount for 40% of your semester grade, labs and projects another 40%, and class homework and practices 20%. At the end of the semester, you're going to have a semester final, and that entire semester final is worth 20% of your entire grade. And we'll talk more about grades on a regular basis. One of the things that you're going to see as we go through our semester is this expression known as embrace the challenge. You're at an incredible time in your lives when you're about to embark upon new things, and some of them are going to be difficult. But I'd rather you not look at those from a standpoint of being hard, but from a standpoint of being a challenge. And if you embrace that challenge, and if you start to understand what it's going to take to achieve those things, you'll see some greatness in your life. So embrace the challenge. And you'll see lots more of these little illustrations with Ninja around our sessions. A couple of supplies. While we're on distance learning, the only thing I need you to have is a 3-section spiral notebook. And you're going to organize that into 3 sections, one for notes, one for discussion posts, and one for vocabulary. You're going to take notes on each day's lesson. I'm not going to give you pre-printed note forms while we're on distance learning. Take your own personal notes. You're going to have all of your slides and all of your videos available for you to take your time to look at. Take your notes, organize your thoughts, prepare responses, write some questions down of some things that you want to talk about. Make a section for vocabulary. Most importantly, put the date on top of each page so you can always go back and look at it. You're going to need that when it comes time for exams. Well, we're getting down to the end here, but this week we have a couple of things that we're doing. Today we're talking about introductions, procedures, course overview, and some expectations. Tomorrow we're going to spend some time navigating and using Google Classroom. That'll be helpful not only for my class, but for some of your other classes. Wednesday, we're going to take a look at the course syllabus, and you'll have some recap questions on that as well. Thursday, we'll talk about lab equipment and safety. And then Friday, we'll do a live check-in and a what's next on a Zoom session. And I'll give you some more instructions on what we're going to do for that a little bit later this week. So let's take a quick review. We've talked about the course. I've introduced myself. You know a little bit about me. We've got some expectations and some general policies, how we're going to work in distance mode, some of the lessons and assignments that you have, and what's next. I'm going to get out of my screen share here right now. I should be able to do that. Oh, before we go, as soon as we're done with this, you're going to close out of this video, open up the next item from Monday, and that's a Google form. Respond to the questions and submit it. It's that simple. If you have any questions today, just email me or you can message me through the assignment tab on Google Classroom. Let's see if I can get out of this. I'm going to stop presenting. So that's pretty much all we have for you today. The goal here was for you to get introduced to me and what we're doing this week. I look forward to having a really good semester with you. Make sure, tune in tomorrow, open up that assignment, and get started. We'll see you at the end of the week.